seeking after God, as it is recorded in the Proverbs, where he said, if a person seeks God early, he will find him. And early here has the implications of sincerity and earnestness in our seeking of God, being very diligent about it. And one of the most important things that I could tell you about keeping the communication between a human and God is the honesty. Just absolutely just being honest before God, not being pretentious, not trying to hide and cover up sin and disobedience and rebellion. Because you see, in order for us to be able to have a sincere relationship with God, we just have to be absolutely willing to confess where we failed. And God allows a lot of times there to be testing in our lives, because he wants us to be faithful to him. And the only way that we're going to have those opportunities to be faithful to God is when we're facing opposition. And we know that there's an enemy who's certainly willing to bring these things into our lives, to bring the temptation, bring the things that would seek to steal our hearts away from God. The enemy, he's more than willing to bring those things into our lives. And as God from heaven watches our progress here, and he sees the challenges we face and how we deal with them. And sometimes we fail because we're human. We're going to fail. Peter failed, and he failed, and he himself felt like he was ostracized away from God, and he said, "I go a fish," and he said, "I'm leaving the ministry," and I'm interjecting that because that's the way I see it. But Jesus met him there on the shores of Galilee, and caused him to come to that place in his life where he just had to deal with it. And that's what we have to do. When we fail, when we transgress, we know that God is love, and he has made a way for our sins to be forgiven. That's the work that Christ did on the cross of Calvary, that our sins could be forgiven. But too often, way too often, people don't understand that, and they fail in life. They make bad decisions. They do things that they know they're not pleasing to God, and they make the assumption that God's done with them, and they'll never be able to enter into the portals of God's grace ever again because of the things that they've done. And that is just absolutely not the truth. Because Jesus Christ died on the cross for the forgiveness of our sins and our transgressions, that we may be able to always go back to him, to approach his throne in confession of our sins and asking for God's forgiveness and restoration. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.